so that one day it's, like India for all.
And they're moving into an environment which doesn't care about them.
Change their mindset that it is for everybody.
Disabled people don't come here.
Hi, welcome back to Deconstructing Accessibility. Here we have Kavya today, who's going to be talking about her experiences. Hi, Kavya.
Hi.
I wanted to ask you about on how accessibility has changed your life.
I used to live in a joint family, and we had we were almost 25 members together staying in the same house. And my uncles, my grandmother, grandfather, everybody were there together. And my exposure to disability happened very early during my childhood, as my uncle is a person with amputation. He's an amputee. And I'm also talking about my older age group, grandmothers and grandfathers. So everybody stayed there. How I have seen accessibility was that there were a lot of modifications done within the home for them, as in with their rooms or the washrooms that they used to access. They used to install the handrails so that it will be safer for them. And they used to remove the stairs, and then they used to have a small slope category. I mean, it's not a gradient ramp, but then it used to be a adjustment for them. So there were multiple levels we had, because we had a lot of courtyards, as I mentioned. So the level differences were covered with these curbs. So in that sense, I had this kind of small understanding that they have certain issues for the mobility, and these are the modifications that are done. And then slowly, while while I was growing up, and I started understanding about the science behind the buildings, as in there is something called architecture. And then my interest developed to pursue architecture. So when I entered the university, when I entered the college for the graduation, my perception changed in terms of technicality of accessibility.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have a few things that you need to keep in mind. So
it's very interesting to hear where you right from the get-go, in your early childhood, you had this collective experience, and this is why what's happening today in society with the splitting up of families and the predominance of middle-class people becoming into these small units. Parents and child. Maybe their grandparents are there. So this jugaad kind of fixing of problems as a collective responsibility was normal within the home. And as people move out, they're moving into properties that were purchased, which were not universally designed, and they're moving into an environment which doesn't care about them as individuals.
Correct.
So the public space is a very impersonal and ruthless, you could say, in a sense. It cares about nobody. So if it's not universally, if there's not universal design in it, then that's a very interesting and probably quite a disappointing experience for you to move from something that was quite well adapted to some situations which are really full of barriers.
Right.
Yeah.
So, to just continue the flow, like I was explaining. So, moving to the college, I also had my own personal experiences. I met with an accident, a small slip from the stairs, and I fractured my leg. And then during that time, I had to give my semester examinations in the college. So, there I had this experience of lack of the elevator within the hostel building that I was residing in, and also my college building, where I had to climb up the stairs of 6 floors in my hostel block to reach my room, and there was no reasonable accommodation provided.
Wow.
Yes, I had, and I literally dragged myself for the whole 6 floors, and I was just like dragging myself within the stairs. I was just sitting and then dragging myself up. So it was like it was that way
Very
because I couldn't
painful.
really hop the stairs. So
Painful
that is one thing, and then
tiring.
right.
Must be very
Right.
painful and
And
very
then
tiring.
obviously that was very, very tiring, very exhausting. And you imagine that was during the initial time of the summer, like summers, as in it was during the month of April in Mumbai. So you can, I mean, imagine the humidity also, like you with the plaster. And in the college building as well, it was the same. Like I had to hop the floors to write my examinations, as there was no reasonable accommodation provided for me on the ground floor to give my exams. So that particular incident literally added more to the understanding of accessibility. As in the term accessibility, I was not familiar with, because in my course we were introduced it as barrier-free design. But then my focus was more on that, as I had my own experiences. And now coming to the major transition that happened in my life, but that was during my final year of architecture. I lost my eyesight overnight due to a rare neurological condition by the name idiopathic intracranial hypertension, which is IIH. So that particular major transition changed the entire perception. I mean, it added more to what I was trying to do previous to that, like this particular phase. So from there on, it is all about experiencing the spaces around me because of the blindness. Like I was relying on someone's verbal descriptions, and then somehow, somewhere, my architecture background really helped me to imagine the space with the descriptions. So that is something I wanted to share with the perception towards accessibility with my own lived experiences.
And you, what I see is you've moved from a very accommodating, mitigating, reasonable accommodation culture within your childhood. Then you've moved to an institution which is based on education, obviously, and about architecture, which was totally intransigent and insensitive and unresponsive to your needs. I'm sure the students, your fellow students, helped you in some way, but the institution itself was incapable, either management-wise or in any way to adjust. Is that correct?
Right. Here, as you are mentioning about the help that I received from my fellow like classmates, there was also one incident that really that was little disturbing for me, as when we were seeking help, as the building that I like, the architecture block that I was entering, we also had the other department adjacent to it. And when my mother was trying to help me out to hop the stairs, there were nobody from my class or maybe my department. So she tend to like seek help from the other department students who were climbing the stairs. So at that point, what happened was, without my involvement or my consent, the guys tried to hold me and hold my waist, and then lifted me up without my consent, which also highlights the safety aspect of the layer that added with the gender. Like, I'm a woman with a disability at that point, and it adds more to the part that, like, what we are right now discussing. I just wanted to share, because I just recollected this memory of mine. In terms of
highly
safety
inappropriate.
as well.
Yeah, it shows
to help without
people just don't have awareness of what to do. Like, we had a video podcast about this before, talking about the etiquettes of approaching people with disabilities, and I mean,
it's a lived experience for us.
Horrible. I mean, like,
it's a lived experience. Zack has seen all his childhood, how his mother has to face so many humiliations And sometimes it's very well-meaning. People want to help, but it's not appropriate, and it's not appropriate to do without asking. And many times we've had a situation where she's literally had to shout at people that please don't touch the wheelchair, because I'm like taking it down maybe 10 steps, and then somebody goes to grab the front of the wheelchair, and what they do is they unbalance me. So I'm in control, and suddenly somebody grabs the front wheel, near the front wheel, and now I'm not in control. The balance is lost. And it's very bad for my back and very bad for my knee. And, I twist my knee and I get into pain. And then we're all likely to fall. And the person who's going to fall the most would be my wife, So we've been through that so many times. Well-meaning people, perhaps not thinking things through, but also lack of experience. Just not knowing what is appropriate.
I mean, this particular instant was during my temporary phase of disability. I'm talking about like the fractured leg. Like now, I mean, we can imagine that how it will be difficult for a person with permanent disabilities, and I mean, maybe severe disabilities.
Wow. So then, now you're an architect, a practicing architect. You've done some amazing projects. It's great to I love to hear about your work and to see it also. And it shows that a lot of, I mean, the other thing is that people's preconceptions. I know that you had difficulty finishing your graduation because the university had the preconception that it wouldn't be possible for you. This is another mindset. So all the problems, nearly 99% of the problems that persons with disabilities face in terms of barriers, the biggest part of that, 99% of it, is attitudes of other people. We've had the laws and the standards since nearly 30 years. We've had the standards for 25 years, which all the things that we need to know about, that need to be integrated, like step-free routes and lift sizes and proper accommodation, suitable toilets and so on. All of these things have been there, but the attitudes of people prevent these things from being implemented, because they say, well, disabled people don't come here, so why do we need it? There's a reason they don't come here, because would you go to a mall that for 3 hours if they had no toilet with your grandmother or even your mother or anybody, elderly, and they might need to relieve themselves, and they're not going to go to the cinema if they know that building doesn't have a toilet. And having a toilet that's not accessible is the same thing as not having a toilet. So just to finish off, Kavya, what's your idea about the future? Do you think there's going to be much change?
Listening to you right now, a couple of things. When we are advocating for accessibility, maybe we are highlighting about, like right now, you are highlighting about the attitudes to, like, from the public, general public, or anybody for that matter. The perception that they carry is accessibility is only meant for a person with disability, wherein it's a universal requirement. Adding this universality to accessibility is something where we are trying to work on the funding that we are getting from the government. So it is right now limited to the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment and the Department of Persons with Disabilities. But then if we think about the universality, then we can go beyond this particular ministry. We can also think from the CPWD department or the railway ministry, or like other ministries also involved in the process. And we can make it more. We can make it more maybe comprehensive. I can also share about my own, experience working with the government bodies. As I am working on the accessibility in leisure and recreational spaces, particularly the beaches. So one such experience I would like to share. When I started pursuing this, the initial perception on me was I'm working to make the beach accessible for blind. So they clearly wrote that it is beach for blind.
Yeah.
So the hashtag beach for blind was used, and so later part, slowly, I mean, it took me a while, and it took them also a while to really understand that it is for all. Okay. So, right, moving from beach for blind to beach for all took me almost like 1 year or 1.5 year, all like the entire advocacy process to change their mindset that it is for everybody. It is a requirement. Right now, like now they use beach for all. They always write beach for all. Okay. But then what I'm trying to say is I am a person with visual impairment or blindness, and I am trying to pursue this. So the perception automatically came that I'm trying to work for the blind people and making the space accessible for only blind. So this is something, I mean, I really wanted to share that for one particular department, it took this long, and for one individual, I'm saying. So the perception will slowly move towards, I mean, for all, maybe by adding the universality and the terminology that we carry with us.
Yeah, I mean, I hope this podcast can spread awareness so that one day it's, like India for all, and just like beach for all, it should be India for all. Now,
right.
Now it's not. Now it's not inclusive at all, and almost every building is not accessible or beaches. So, thank you for joining us.